So with that, we turn our attention not to ballot measures, but to a candidate. We'd like to welcome Michael Allen here to our set. Thank you for joining us. We've been talking about you and your race a lot tonight.
Yeah, hi, Bruce.
And
Hi,
See you, Michael.
Yeah.
must be an anxious evening for you.
Well, I knew it was going to be a long evening, and
Maybe a long month.
yeah, a long month. When I won in 2010, we waited 3 weeks to know whether I won the primary, and so with tonight, it might be a long wait. We knew it was going to be a tight race, and so it's proved to be that.
I may not get any rewards this year for being a great predictor. This is tighter than I would have predicted. I would have. One of the things we saw in the primary was that while Mr. Levine, Councilman Levine, did well in Marin County, you did very well in Sonoma County.
Right.
It seems closer this time for some reason. How do you explain that?
Well, I think that it's just a larger electorate. You have more Republicans coming out to vote. I don't really know the answers as to why that is. I do know that I've put a lot of energy into the poll voters, so hopefully that effort will show on later on tonight.
Now, how do you, as a lifelong sort of mainstream Democrat, go about courting Republican support in the district when there is no Republican candidate in this race?
Well, the way I approached it, as I told them, is that when constituents come to me with problems, I don't ask them whether they're Republicans or Democrats or Greens. If they have a problem, I try to solve it for them. And I also pointed to my record where 60% of my bills were supported by Republicans. And the pension reform legislation we did, we got almost every Senate Republican, and we got 2/3 of the Assembly Republicans to vote. So I just tried to show that I can work with Republicans and that I'm considered to be a fairly reasonable legislator.
Isn't it possible that this race, the public is not so much making a decision on Michael Allen or Mark Levine, but just making a comment about Sacramento?
Oh, I think that's quite possible. And to me, I never try to defend Sacramento. I think part of it is it's a culture that we have, and part of it is due to the fact that we've done a lot of things to ourselves as the electorate. I think it's going to be a good thing to have longer term limits. That's going to be something positive. Right. I think that the whole aspect of allowing now for budgets by a majority vote is a positive. But we still have the gridlock when it comes to revenues. And with Prop 30, I'm so distressed about Prop 30 because that's to me, that's not a cost, it's an investment in our future. And I'm just so worried about if that goes down to defeat, it's going to be catastrophic for California, in my opinion.
The governor said he doesn't have a plan B. Has the legislature begun to map out what a plan B might begin to look like?
The plan B would either be the trigger cuts that will occur automatically, or the governor calling us back into special session. And if you go back into special session, then you ask yourself, what else are we going to be losing to try to fund education? Because something will have to give.
I was going to say, isn't the education community going to come out this voraciously saying, listen, you've got to make some changes. It's just hits us too hard. And that's right. Then the question, of course, becomes what else do you cut? But I would think that the education community in this state, in this legislature, has an awful lot of clout.
Well, if I were the education community, and if Prop 30 does go down to defeat, which I hope it does, and I hope it does turn around the result, they're advocates for the children. They're advocates for the people who need education in California. I'd expect them to come to the governor, to the legislature, and see what we can do. Like I said, though, what will happen is ultimately there are winners and losers. So if we do more for education, then other parts of the budget are going to suffer.
You probably are following the question.
Yes.
What I'm going to ask now, but more than we are. What's happening statewide as far as Democrat majorities in the Assembly and the State Senate? I know there's some thinking that there was a possibility of a supermajority, meaning more than 2/3 of Democrats. Is that happening tonight?
I haven't tracked all the races. I do know we have an excellent chance of having a 2/3 in the Senate. I don't think we're going to get to the 2/3 in the Assembly. I just don't think that's possible.
That was going to require picking up, I think, 3 additional seats this time around.
It's a little bit too far for us to go, a bridge too far to get there.
Your sense of how the top two primaries played out across the state, as you go out and you're talking to people, you are in one of the two candidates from the same party races. As the electorate that you talk to as you're doing your precinct walking, are they happy with that, or are they kind of just not sure what to make of it yet?
I think it's confusing. I think it's confusing for the candidates. I think it's confusing for the electorate. You go door to door, and the Democrats will say, "I'm voting for a Democrat," and then you have to take it deeper as to what does that mean. So I think this whole top two, I think it's a new experience for everybody, both the Republicans and the Democrats. And we haven't figured it out yet as to how you proceed.
I ran into a fellow Saturday. I wrote a column about what the Republicans would do in this, and he said to me, just chatting, he says, well, actually, I didn't vote for either of them.
Right.
I said, let me guess, you're a Republican. He says, that's right. He says, but I didn't, I voted absentee, voted by mail, and I saw there's 2 Democrats, and I'm a Republican, and so they didn't interest me. So the theory was
Right.
that person would be attracted into it, and in the in the interior of California, Democrats would be in the same play the same role. It would be very interesting to see statistically after tonight if that happens.
Well, I agree, because we've wondered to what degree will Republicans participate when they have 2 Democrats, as to whether
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, absolutely, yes.
Lastly, before we let you go, in addition to the top 2 thing, you also have redistricting, which you had to contend with, and that
Yes.
certainly played a big part in your future.
It was.
your prospects.
It was very daunting. 80% of my district was new, and but I did get a really warm reception in Marin overall. I mean, I know there was the whole thing about the carpetbagger and coming in and moving in, but basically the people of Marin were very kind and welcoming to me, and I did garner a lot of support. But I knew it was going to be a rough road to hoe. It always is when you're an incumbent, but you're not the incumbent for that district. And so I think that was a real difficult situation for me. But I guess the most positive thing is I made a lot of friends in Marin, and I enjoy that part of it.
Well, have a very patient 3 weeks or 4 weeks here, because
I will.
I'd be very surprised if anybody is able to give a definitive answer in the 10th Assembly District tonight.
Oh, I know, it's going to be a close one.
Yeah.
We're seeing right now on screen, the numbers haven't changed, but the number reporting has. We're now up to 62% of the ballots counted
62%.
In the district, and it's still a very close race. So, Michael, Alan,
luck to you.
thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you both,
It'll be an
gentlemen.
ongoing story.
Oh, yes,
We'll
absolutely.
see how that unfolds over the course of the evening.
Good evening. Bye-bye.
Senator
Bye.
Michael
Thanks for
Allen.
being with us.